be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things, man. Stephanie White took to the podium and she lets it be known, hey, Damiris Johnson is going to be done. Okay. And this is why immediately with the Justine Passat situation, I had to put up a video. I was so upset. We gave away a 6'4" sniper for a lady that's old, can't move, can't do anything. You keep talking about how she's good in the locker room. And
questions are mounting around the Indiana Fever front office following a series of roster decisions that have drawn criticism from fans and analysts alike. General Manager Amber Cox has faced scrutiny for offseason choices, including using a top 10 draft pick on a smaller point guard rather than prioritizing front court size and depth.
This and that. Listen, man, we don't care if the girl wants to play Monopoly or Uno or Spades in the locker room. She can't play. She can't move. And now you've gotten rid of Justine Passat. The toothpaste is out the tube on that one. You can't get it back. If you cut Damiris Johnson, yes, she'll lose out on $100K. But damn it, this ain't about all of that, man. This is about putting the best players you can around Caitlin Clark to help.
Now, with forward Damaris Dantas ruled out for the remainder of the season, those concerns have intensified. Dantas's injury has reignited debate over the team's roster construction, particularly the earlier decision to move on from forward Sophie Cunningham in a trade that brought in Dantas.
Man, this is about putting the best players you can around Caitlin Clark to help win games. You need to make a move. You need to make a move. You need to get Damiris Dantas, release her, waive her. She'll lose out on $100,000, but it is what it is. This is business.
What do you guys miss without Damiris?
Well, certainly we'll miss her in the locker room. I mean, we'll miss her she's a connector and her personality, and she's a great communicator. She's a vet. We'll miss her ability to stretch the floor on the floor. She can knock down a shot.
Critics argue the team gave up a reliable outside shooter for a veteran who had seen limited playing time and struggled to contribute on the floor, regardless of her reported value as a locker room presence and communicator. The argument being made is that veteran leadership and personality matter, but ultimately roster construction should prioritize on-court production, especially with a core group built around a young star player who needs strong complementary pieces to compete.
She can knock down a shot. She can give us a different look from that.
She wasn't getting in games like that. What do you like? You should have released her instead of Justine and signed Justine Passat.
Position as well.
Will she not be with you guys at all the rest of the way with this?
I'm not sure. I think it'll probably depend on what her recovery looks like.
I'm not sure. It depends on what her recovery looks. So y'all not gonna release her. Y'all gonna keep playing this game. What
was the process?
At a press availability, head coach Stephanie White addressed what the team will miss with Dantas sidelined, citing her ability to space the floor and her presence as a connector in the locker room, while acknowledging she hadn't been seeing significant minutes recently. When asked whether Dantas would return at all this season, White said that would likely depend on her recovery timeline, leaving her roster status unresolved for now rather than confirming a release.
What was the process you guys said it was precautionary last Wednesday against Connecticut and join you guys?
So Damiris Dantas is done. I mean, the lady can't play, man. And now, Stephanie White's supposed to be some defensive guru, but for whatever reason versus the Minnesota Lynx, we don't know how we're defending ball screens. We waited until Olivia Miles scored 23 points and a half to finally blitz her and get the ball out of her hands. They were ice. They had the guards icing the ball screens.
Beyond the front court questions, the team's defensive execution has also come under fire. Despite White's reputation for defensive coaching, the Fever have struggled at times with pick-and-roll coverage, including a recent matchup against the Minnesota Lynx, where an opposing guard scored 23 points in a single half before adjustments were made to double-team and force the ball out of her hands.
They were ice. They had the guards icing the ball screens, but no big could stop the guards from turning the corner. I mean, you're supposed to be a defensive guru. You and Brianne January, right? Why does it look so trash every night? And
and then throughout the course of a series, you got to be able to get stops. There are going to be days where shots don't fall, and things aren't going, as well as planned on the offensive end of the floor. So it absolutely will, and I think we're better than we were, but we've still got to continue to grow in that area.
Critics note that while the team abandoned an earlier tendency to switch every screen indiscriminately, meaningful improvement in the scheme, including exploring different defensive looks like zone coverage, hasn't been clearly visible. White acknowledged that consistency remains a work in progress, noting that the team needs to find ways to perform steadily across games, rather than relying on strong individual stretches, especially heading into a demanding post-All-Star schedule that includes tougher opponents.
Than we were, but we've still got to continue to grow in that area.
I have not seen y'all be better. The only thing I noticed that you stopped doing the main idiotic thing you were doing at the very beginning of the season, which is you were just switching everything 1 through 5. Just switch. Okay, you stopped that, but is the defense better? I don't see it. I don't see adjustments being made. I don't see you trying out a zone or just mixing it up to throw off the other team's rhythm. I don't see it.
The post-All-Star schedule has a lot of playoff teams. In what way is that a measuring stick to help you?
She emphasized the importance of controlling what the team can control, minimizing outside distractions, and staying focused on internal growth and cohesion, adding that facing challenges together, including extended time on the road, has helped strengthen team chemistry. Further roster updates were also addressed, including the signing of a young post player, whose length and continued development post-college were cited as reasons for optimism, along with praise for scouting resources that allow the staff to evaluate incoming players through available game film.
In what way is that a measuring stick to help you see where you are?
Yeah, I think it's a measuring stick in terms of consistently what it's going to take. We've got to be consistent throughout, not a 40-minute game. We've got to be consistent throughout, game to game, tight turnarounds. Not a lot of time to prepare. So I think it's really going to challenge our ability to make sure that we are playing at a level on a consistent basis that we need to.
Man, it's about to get real right now. You just had the Lynx. You got the Aces coming up. You got Paige and the Wings coming.
It was later confirmed that Dantas underwent successful surgery for a torn meniscus, officially ending her season. While the team may have the option to sign a corresponding roster replacement, questions remain about the front office's overall approach after a quiet trade deadline that saw no significant moves made to address roster needs.
Man, again, I talk about agenda a lot on this channel. Yikes. So, here we go. Some of the biggest names in the women's basketball are in the triangle this weekend, but unless you have an invite from USA Basketball, you won't be catching a glimpse. USA women's national team is holding a closed camp at Duke University December 12th through the 14th.
With a difficult stretch of the schedule ahead, including matchups against top contenders, pressure is mounting on both the coaching staff and front office to make meaningful adjustments. Between unresolved front court depth issues, ongoing defensive inconsistency, and a front office that has largely stood pat, there are growing concerns about whether the current roster is built to compete at a high level for the remainder of the season.
14th, bringing 17 of the sport's biggest stars to Durham as preparations ramp up for the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup in Berlin. This is the first national camp overseen by Carol Lawson, Duke's own women's basketball coach, who was appointed to lead the Team USA through 2028. It's also the first camp for managing director Sue Bird, the four-time Olympic gold medalist.
Caitlin Clark is set to return to the court as part of a USA Basketball national team training camp beginning December 12 in Durham, North Carolina. The closed camp, held at Duke University from December 12 to 14, brings together 17 players as part of preparations for the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup in Berlin.
Gold medalist now responsible for assembling the next World Cup and Olympic rosters. Oh boy, we're going to see how that's going to go. I don't know. A mix of players training on Duke's campus include established Olympic champions, rising WNBA stars, and some of the most talked about young players in the sport: Kaylee Copper, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Brittany Griner.
This marks the first national camp under new head coach Carol Lawson, Duke's women's basketball coach, who has been appointed to lead the program through 2028. It is also the first camp overseen by Sue Bird, the four-time Olympic gold medalist, now serving as managing director.
Major veterans participating: Derica Hamby, Brianna Jones, that's 3x3. And then, of course, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brent, and it goes on and on from there. By the way, Aaliyah Boston, Sonia Cintron are part of that. This camp marks the beginning of a generational handoff for USA basketball. Sue Bird and Lawson leading the program the next 2 years will shape how the team looks.
The player pool invited to Durham includes a mix of established Olympic veterans, current 1BA stars, and younger players, among them Kate Cooper, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Brittany Griner, De'Erica Hamby, Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, Aaliyah Boston, and Sonia Citron, among others. Speaking to reporters, Bird described adjusting to her new front office role after her playing career, saying she has had moments of realizing how different the job is, but that the transition has gone smoothly, with support from USA basketball staff.
The next 2 years will shape how the team looks for 2026's World Cup and the Olympics. Man, I got to tell you, if somehow, some way, Caitlin Clark ends up not on these squads, oh my God, the world's going to freaking explode. So, Sue Bird made some comments about this entire situation. Quote, "I've definitely had some moments where it's like, oh, I'm not a player anymore. This is totally different."
Bird said she plans to primarily observe the players during this camp. She addressed the absence of several prominent players, including A.J. Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Brianna Stewart, saying their absence should not be read as a signal about their standing with the program.
Quote, "I've definitely had some moments where it's like, oh, I'm not a player anymore. This is totally different. Like, oh, I have to wear all my team-issued stuff now," Bird told the media Thursday afternoon. "But for the most part, it's been great. Everybody with USA basketball has been super helpful." For now, Bird is content to be, quote, "a fly on the wall" and observe the young player pool on hand in Durham. Juju Watkins to my knowledge, is not actively practicing. Quote, "It's a great opportunity to get their first feel."
She noted that USA basketball typically invites a wide pool of players across multiple camps throughout the year, in part because scheduling conflicts and other off-season commitments can affect availability at any given camp, and that the goal is to give as many eligible players as possible some level of involvement before major competitions.
Their first feel, to get their first taste. Bird said not to read into the absence of marquee stars like A'ja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Brianna Stewart. With months to go before the next competition, USA basketball cast a wide net of invitations, knowing some players may have other obligations at the time of the basketball season. Quote, "In the landscape of women's basketball, which is ever-changing off-season opportunities are ever-changing, I don't think any player that you might think would have..."
Bird also spoke about the role of veteran players in camp settings, saying experienced players often help set the tone and mentor younger athletes through their leadership and on-court presence.
"Are ever-changing, I don't think any player that you might think would have been here, not been here, has a larger meaning." Why wouldn't we think that? I mean, if you invited a player, shouldn't everybody that even has a sniff of being on this team be there? So she just basically said, those three players, they don't have to be here, but, there's a good chance they're going to be on the team. Okay. If you say so.
The camp represents an early step in a broader transition for USA basketball's senior national team program as it builds toward the 2026 World Cup and the following Olympic cycle under new leadership.